I was 14 years old when My Hero Academia first came out. I watched it during the peak of superhero culture. Marvel was dominating movies and superheroes were everywhere, but it was My Hero and its themes of never giving up on your dreams, of having hope even in difficult situations, and of reaching out to others in need that inspired me the most. I was the same age as the characters in the anime. I wanted to be strong like All Might, and to be honest with my dreams and never give up on myself like Deku. Then, just like 50% of my audience, I grew up. The once hopeful kid got hit in the face with the reality of life in our world. I got a job that brings me no joy and got more jaded by life. I've been hurt by others. I've been betrayed by people. And at some point, I stopped believing. I stopped believing in my dreams. I stopped believing in the world being a good place. I stopped believing in being kind. The older we get, the more that having hope and faith in things turning out good feels like a fairy tale. Things only children would believe in. I loved My Hero as a 14-year-old kid, but at 26, I'd nearly forgotten all about it at this point. But rewatching it as an adult and seeing the struggles that Deku goes through, the suffering he has to endure, and his determination to stay true to himself in a world that wants to bring him down, it hits different when you're older.
Do you think I can be a hero too?
Young man, you too can become a hero.
I want to save that little kid!
Okay! It'll all be okay! I will not let him get past me! Koda, run!
Why did you risk your life? Even though you don't know me at all? Why did you try to save me, my hero?
Now, it's your turn. Ever since that day, kid, since that day you've been the greatest hero that I've ever known.
Deku, Todoroki, Bakugo, and all of the characters of Class 1A reminded me of a part of myself I forgot about long ago. Being earnest with your dreams, fighting to create the best world you can, and reaching out to others in need. Deku wanted to be a hero that can save people with a smile on his face. Bakugo wants to become the #1 hero, and Todoroki wants to heal from his family wounds and become his own person. Deku pursues everything he does with a level of sincerity that is almost naive. I say almost because Deku isn't naive to the reality of how nearly impossible his dream of becoming a top hero is. He is born quirkless and realizes that not all men are created equal. Some are blessed with a talent he will never have. Even after All Might gives Deku one for all, Deku must train, suffer, and fight harder than anyone else to make his dream a reality. All of the struggles and failures that Deku experiences are enough to make anyone else in his shoes give up on their dreams. Every time he is bullied by Bakugo for being quirkless, nearly killed by a villain, or rejected by the very people he is trying to save, push Deku's dream further and further away. But Deku never stops being honest about who he wants to be and what he wants to achieve, no matter how much the world tries to break him. Deku wants to be a hero that can save people with a smile on his face. This desire to save people extends even to his enemy, with Deku wanting to save Shigaraki, someone who has hurt the people he cares about, who wants to take his power and is hell-bent on destroying the world. Deku believes there is a chance of saving the crying little boy he saw inside of Shigaraki. He knows there's a real possibility he won't be able to reach that part of him, that they will end up fighting, and that he might have to kill him to stop him. But even still, Deku wants to try his hardest to reach out. He treats his friends, strangers, and enemies with the same respect, the opportunity for real connection, and reaching out a helping hand to those in need. So why does My Hero Academia hit different when you're older? I was inspired when I watched this at 14 years old. Seeing Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto made me want to grow stronger. But when I was younger, I didn't realize just how important their arcs were. Because at the time, while I did have my problems, I was worried about school, I was stressing about love, these were tiny issues when it comes to what I am dealing with now. I can also relate to the struggles that these characters face way more than I ever could as a naive 14-year-old who had never left his home before. I realize now how hard it is to connect to others, to reach out a helping hand to someone in need, especially someone who has hurt you. That's what Deku is able to do over and over again. But as I've gotten older and I've had friends betray me, I've had loved ones hurt me, and I've done the same to others, it puts me in a shell. It makes me want to stay in that shell, to avoid connecting to more and more people, because to connect means to leave myself vulnerable. You and I both know that vulnerability is an absolutely terrifying thing, because there will be people who take advantage of it. That has happened to Deku when he opens himself up to Shigaraki. He loses his powers, he becomes quirkless again, and you could argue if he had just done what everyone else was telling him to do and have offed Shigaraki instead of trying to connect with him and to understand him, then he would still have his powers, then he would still be whole. But that's not his way. That's not what he stands for as a hero. He stays true to his value as a hero of wanting to help others, even wanting to save Shigaraki. I can't say that I want to go out there and save all of my enemies and ops, but you and I can definitely learn a little bit from Deku when it comes to just being kinder to others and seeing the ripple effect it has for the world around us. Because you and I have gotten older, we think because someone has hurt us in the past, that means we're more likely to be hurt and betrayed by someone else. That makes us think it's naive to be vulnerable, to reach out, and to open ourselves up again. But when we know about the possible consequences of opening ourselves up, of reaching out to others, and we still choose to do it, I don't think that that's naivety. I think that that's bravery. That's wisdom, because we're choosing to be hopeful. We're choosing to believe in good, even when we've seen so many things that are wrong with the world, with others, with ourselves. We're choosing to believe that the future can be a little bit brighter. And that's what makes the world what it is today. Because yes, you and I are prone to cynicism. That's what it means to be human after all, to be always thinking about the negatives, the potential things that could hurt us. But as much as this makes sense, how much do you and I really want to live in a world filled with negativity and cynicism? Hope feels good. It feels so great to believe that things can get better. And growing older doesn't take that away from us. It just makes it harder for us to believe in the good. And that's why Deku's arc just helps me to grow a little bit more hopeful that I can be better, I can connect to others, and that it's worth it. Bakugo isn't someone who ever lies about who he is and what he wants. He is loud, rude, and sometimes, if not most of the time, obnoxious about his dream of becoming a hero that will surpass All Might. But he is an incredibly honest person. So much so that when the League of Villains captures him in an attempt to turn him against Hero Society, rather than playing along with their plot, he immediately fights back and declares his dream of being a hero to villains who would kill him for that dream. Any normal person would lie in this moment to get out of danger. But Bakugo chooses to stand by his ideals and dreams because to even lie about it would be a betrayal to everything he stands for. Him and Deku share the same dream and desire to become a hero, and while their rivalry was completely one-sided as children, with Bakugo possessing all of the power and Deku having nothing, as they get stronger, it's eventually Bakugo who falls behind on their dreams. But he never lets his failures and setbacks stop him from chasing what he really wants. Every failure is an opportunity for Bakugo to grow, and he doesn't let Deku surpassing him stop him from moving forward with his dream. What matters to Bakugo isn't how far away from his goal he is, how much further ahead Deku is, or even how others see him, but how hard he is working on making his dream of becoming the #1 hero a reality. The older we are, the more complacent that we get. Our dreams as kids of a bright future start to seem impossible. And that's why seeing Bakugo being honest about his dream of becoming the #1 hero and always chasing after it, it makes me realize that yes, dreams are meant to be hard to achieve. That's why we call them dreams. What makes a dream worth chasing isn't how valuable others see that dream as, but by how good that dream makes us feel, how inspired we are to become better versions of ourselves when we work towards it. Having a dream to push you forward is what makes you become better. It's what helps you and me have a vision for who we want to be. Without a dream, we can easily lose ourselves in all of the boring day-to-day activities that we have to endure, whether it's going to a job we don't like, whether it's being stuck in a unfulfilling relationship, whether it's just that there is this gnawing feeling inside of us that what we're doing right now is not what we want to do, that we're meant to do something entirely different. That gives us a clear path forward, and without it, we become lost. I find in my life, whenever I lose sight of my dream of becoming a better older brother, being someone who can uplift his family and his friends and everyone around him, when I lose this, I become very cynical and I lose sight of myself. It's only when I remember my dream and I constantly work towards it every day, no matter how difficult it is, that's when I find not only does my life have meaning, but I enjoy things just so much more. Even if what I'm doing right now isn't fun or isn't what I want to be. If I know it's a step towards my dream, it makes all of the suffering worth it. Shoto was raised as a weapon to surpass All Might. His father Endeavor projected his dreams and ideals onto Shoto to the point where he no longer saw his fire quirk as his own, but something his father owned. Shoto became burdened with the expectations his dad had of him and the role he determined Shoto had to play as a hero. As much as he wanted to reject his father, the more that he denied this part of himself, the more that he is showing how much his father is controlling his dream of becoming a hero. It's only after the sports festival fight against Deku that Shoto is able to see his power as his own, his dream of becoming a hero as something only he can decide, not his father. It's after this moment that Shoto is finally able to be true to himself, his dream, and start living a life that brings him towards who he really wants to be, rather than rejecting his past. How much of our current identity, our lives, are defined by someone else's expectations? This one question not only captures all of Shoto's arc, but I think most people. You and I grew up to appease someone's expectation. Whether it was a parent, an older sibling, a teacher, a role model, we shape ourselves around what other people tell us is either valuable or who we are. If you think about it, Shoto, Bakugo, and Deku all shape themselves around All Might. How All Might inspired them to become better, what All Might means to them as a hero, as a role model, and how he helped them understand themselves. But maybe you and I didn't have an All Might in our lives. I know I didn't. Maybe we had someone like Endeavor, someone who was forcing their will onto us, someone who was projecting an identity that we never wanted. If we're not careful, we can live our whole lives based off of old identities. For me, the older I get, the more that I realize that a lot of learning comes from actually unlearning things from my past. That means letting go of all of these ideas of who I am, which basically creates negative thoughts, negative self-belief, and it all becomes a negative voice in my head telling me that I am meant to be this way and I can't ever change myself. Seeing Shoto not only break through this past trauma, but also take on the role of healing wounds with his mom, with his dad, with all of his siblings. It's so important for us to learn how to move forward without the expectations of others. All of Endeavor's dreams were a burden, a form of abuse that was trying to push him inside of a box, telling him what his identity as a hero, as a human being was. You and I have those expectations weighed on us. Maybe we don't have the people around us anymore who were projecting them, but that expectation still lives with us. It becomes a way of thinking, it becomes a pattern of action, it becomes a way of life. If we're not careful, we force ourselves inside of a box that we never asked to be put inside. Growing outside of societal expectations of old identities only comes when we have faith in ourselves. We have faith in our dreams. Shoto, Deku, and Bakugo all had people trying to put them in a box. Whether it was people telling Deku that he could never be a hero because he was quirkless, or the League of Villains thinking that Bakugo had the potential to be evil, or whether it was Shoto being forced to be a weapon for Endeavor. They all had their struggles with identity and staying true to themselves and what they wanted. Growing up, we can think that other people know better, that society knows better. So we listen to all of their expectations of us, when really what we need to do is find what kind of life do we want? Who do we want to be? And how do we take steps forward towards that dream every single day? That, I think, is the ultimate key to living a good life, is staying true to your ideals and honoring them. But growing up and having bills to pay, having a job that you work just to survive, and feeling like you're losing all of your time and energy can make you want to forget about these things, about who you want to be and what kind of life that you want. Watching My Hero Academia again as an adult made me feel so much more emotional than I expected. By the end of the final season, I felt so emotionally overwhelmed by seeing Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto's arc completed. And I realized it was because I saw reflections of a life, of a version of myself that I've forgotten about so long ago. I can't say that my dream is something that I hold onto every day, that I'm staying true to myself all the time now. But I can say that My Hero Academia helped me find what I needed when I'm lost. That even though I'm still struggling, I'm not going to give up on becoming a better older brother. That I'm not going to quit on the life that I want to create. And neither should you. That's why My Hero Academia hits different. And we just gotta do our best. You gotta do your best.